And for more on the landmark visit of the Chinese president to Russia and the raging war in Ukraine, a lecturer of politics and international relations at Liverpool Hope University, Professor Bola Adediran, joins me now. Good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to defense procurement in the EU, which has largely been in the hands of individual member states until now. So how much of a significant step is this for EU integration?
Well, it's good for the EU to come out boldly to provide support at a collective level to Ukraine. As you've mentioned previously, individual countries from Poland to Germany to France and UK have provided whatever they can and transferred hands and ammunition to the Ukrainians. So, but these at the collective level by the EU institution to Ukraine is significant. Having said that, I'm not sure that, in the words of the Ukrainian defense minister, that this is a game changer. I believe that this war has gotten to a point. It is now a war of attrition. Both sides have not made significant inroads or significant progress in recent months. And the battle in Bakhmut is a clear indication of this. It's the longest running battle of the war, but not much territory has been gained. Obviously, part of this ammunition that is being transferred to Ukraine is to prepare Ukraine for the summertime offensive that it's planning in the next couple of weeks and months. And it will be interesting to see how much this really pushes the needle or pushes Ukraine to gain more territories. But I think that what we're seeing in Ukraine is that this is a war that would go on for a long time, and it is increasingly less likely that any of the opposing parties will have a decisive upper round at the end of the day.
Does this send to Russia?
Hello? Sorry.
I'm asking you what message this sends to Russia.
Oh, what message does it send to Russia? It's not something that that Russia is not aware of. Russia is quite aware that the EU and the Western partners are solidly behind Ukraine. I think Russia by now is also aware that the commitment to the Ukrainian objective is long-standing, it's steadfast, and that is not going to change anytime soon. And I think Russia is also prepared for it. Russia has also made a major diplomatic coup by not only having the Chinese Minister for Foreign Affairs visit Russia a couple of weeks ago, but now the president of the Chinese Federation, Xi Jinping, also visit Moscow. So on its own part, Russia has also really made a major diplomatic statement, especially on the heels of the ICC indictment of Vladimir Putin. But if Russia is able to get some form of commitment from China to provide arms and ammunition and provide support, then we can see a major turn in this war. But until then, I think that the status quo will remain, where Russia and Ukraine neither gain offensive upper hand.
So let's shift our attention now to the visit by Chinese President Xi Jinping to Russia. He's not there primarily because of Ukraine. He's there just to improve on ties with Russia. But President Putin has said that he's willing to discuss Xi Jinping's 12-point plan to, from what he says, settle the acute crisis in Ukraine. But the U.S. is saying, look, the peace plan. And my question really is, can one of Russia's strongest allies be trusted to lead peace talks?
I think it's difficult to really know what the Chinese intention is. On one hand, China's motivations could be also ensuring that one of its most important allies, especially as the world becomes much more fractured, and there are clear divisions across civilizational lines, if I can put it that way. China has an interest in ensuring that the Russian regime does not fall. And you can see that part of the visit, which is, I mean, increasingly China and Russia are deepening relations, going back to last year where Bola Putin went to China and they declared a limitless relationship. There is an interest in ensuring that Russia does not completely collapse. But I think that the question about whether China can be trusted, I think that China is obviously biased because, as I'm saying, it does not want the Russian regime to collapse. But is there an important part in allowing at least these to play out? I think it is important. What concerns me is that amongst all these debates about who can be trusted and who cannot be trusted, it seems that the international community does not have a clear objective towards ending this conflict through diplomatic means. As Xi Jinping has mentioned, all conflict actually end with some form of agreement. And it is high time the international community sort of makes concrete proposals towards peace. And as far as I'm concerned, at least the Chinese are putting some forward towards peace. And this is what I want. I would want to see other members of the international community either embrace or put forward their own proposals.
Mm. But both Ukraine and the international community has said, look, the withdrawal of troops from Ukraine by Russia is a precondition for talks. And we've not seen Russia show any willingness in that regard, even though President Putin has said that he's always open for a negotiation process.
Yes, Ukrainians are very adamant that withdrawal of troops is a precondition. I think that is an unrealistic goal because, again, it depends on what sort of what areas of Ukrainian territory you're requesting Russian military forces to withdraw from. Does it include Crimea? That is not going to happen. Absolutely guarantees that the Russians troops will not withdraw from Crimea. Does it involve scaling back offensive operations in the Donbas region? Maybe there is a leeway there. But again, for example, I have been wondering why we have not been talking about the Minsk agreement and possibly using that as a path to peace. In fact, there are many ways in which we could get back to the negotiating table. I think that the Russians also are interested in finding some solution to this. And you can see that from the constant conversations around peace agreement and their willingness to even consider the Chinese peace plan. So there is obviously some interest from the Russian part, but what would that entail is a matter that is left to the Ukrainians. I think that a huge part of this also depends on Western allies and whether they are interested in forcing the Ukrainians to the table. Biden has mentioned previously that he would not push the Ukrainian to accept any kind of peace plan that is not palatable to. I wonder whether these would, at some point, they will understand that it is in the interest of the international community to have peace in Ukraine.
Mm. Dr. Adediran, we have our eyes on the outcome of this meeting. Now, we'll definitely talk about it in the previous days and weeks to come. Thank you so much for talking to us, lecturer at the Liverpool Hope University in the UK, Dr. Bola Adediran.
Thank you very much.
Now, Russia says